Now, Senator Roger Wicker, a Republican lawmaker from Mississippi. He is taking part in today's hearings. Welcome, sir.
Glad to be with you.
Glad to have you here. Senator, what can intelligence officials say today during testimony that will make President-elect Trump believe that Russia is indeed behind the election hack?
You know, I really think in that sense we need to lower expectations today. I think that conversation may have a better opportunity tomorrow in a classified setting. What this is today, this is a public hearing of three of our intelligence officials. They'll be able to say what they can say to the entire world, but it may be that in terms of really digging into what the true facts are, we're going to need to hear this in a closed session. I know the press doesn't like to hear that, but I don't have much hope for a very full disclosure today.
So will it be a waste of time?
No, I don't think so. And I think if we get into the larger issues of what the threat is, what Russia has done in other countries, what they're capable of doing, I think it can be very informative for the public and for members of the committee. But you know, here's what we know. We know what WikiLeaks said, and we know what the intelligence community has said publicly. We also know that Julian Assange has real credibility problems. We know that Vladimir Putin has real credibility problems, and we know that although we'd like to be friends with the Russian people, we're not particularly in a position to be friendly with President Putin. So those are things we know. Now, exactly the motivations and what the intelligence experts have learned on a classified basis perhaps will come out over time.
Okay, well, you know, there are a lot of senators on both sides of the aisle who are disturbed by President-elect Trump's I don't know, apparent support of what Julian Assange is saying, because as you said, he's an unsavory character. The Democratic Senator Tim Kaine was on New Day this morning. He says he's appalled that Mr. Trump believes Julian Assange, who, by the way, is a suspected rapist, over America's 17 intelligence services. Kaine also intimated, well, I'll let you hear what he said for yourself. Listen.
There is something very unusual, indeed even sort of suspicious, about the degree to which he casually kicks aside the intelligence community when he won't even go to the briefings, and again takes the Assange, Vladimir Putin line on this important question. Any president of the United States should want to protect American electoral systems from invasion or attack by a foreign government. And President-elect Trump should want to do that too.
And so when you say suspicious, what do you mean?
I don't know, but we're going to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so Senator Kaine also intimated that Mr. Trump urged the Russians to do cyber espionage against Hillary Clinton during the campaign. So what do you suppose Tim Kaine meant when he said this is suspicious behavior on the part of Donald Trump?
I think the operative words on the part of my friend Senator Kaine were I don't know. And perhaps we'll know more after the hearing. The classified briefing will be tomorrow to the President of the United States. Mr. Clapper's report is not yet even complete, and I think at the appropriate time the President will hear what at the code word level what these people have to tell him. I think here's what I object to, and I think here's what the President-elect objects to. There's really no allegation that the Russians interfered with the voting process. The votes were the votes. And I happen to know, you know, I've been all around my state since the election. I think the American people knew who they meant to vote for. And they were not influenced by something that Vladimir Putin may have done or tried to do to influence the election.
It's my understanding that that's not what the intelligence agencies are saying. They're not saying that anybody hacked into like the actual voting machines and affected the way people voted. Well, they're saying that Russia hacked into the DNC. And they say that they allowed this information, the secret information from Democratic sources to become public in order to sway the American public to vote a certain way.
And I think it's important for you to keep saying that as a member of the press, that there was no hacking of the election machinery. No. Also, I think it's very clear that there was an attempt to hack both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, it was a little easier to hack into a lot of the Democratic sources. But the
it's still
allegation
wrong,
is
though,
going
isn't it?
to be
It's still
out
wrong.
there.
Isn't it still wrong on the part of the Russians to try to meddle in any way in our elections?
It's wrong for the, absolutely, it's wrong for the Russians to be hacking any of our private conversations. I said that last week when the sanctions were announced. I expressed my approval of the Obama administration's announcements, and I said I only wished that he had been stronger against Mr. Putin's regime over time.
Interestingly enough, President-elect Trump was up early, tweeting again, and he tweeted about Julian Assange, because a lot of people are just wondering why the President-elect is taking Julian Assange at his word. This is what Donald Trump tweeted out this morning. He said, "The dishonest media like saying I am in agreement with Julian Assange. Wrong. I simply state what he states. It is for the people to make up their own minds as to the truth. The media lies to make it look like I'm against intelligence," and he put it in quote again, "when in fact I am a big fan." But that sort of contradicts earlier tweets by Donald Trump when he said the intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. In this tweet from January 4th, Julian Assange said a 14-year-old could have hacked Podesta. Why was DNC so careless? Also said Russians did not give him info. So is the president-elect all over the map here? And what exactly is he trying to impart to the American people through this series of tweets?
You've asked a lot of questions there. I'm glad that the president-elect has expressed the same reservations that I have about the credibility of Mr. Assange. And so to the extent that he has been accused in the media of assigning a lot of credibility to Julian Assange, I think the president was trying to clear that up in that tweet. Frankly, I had not read it until you just read it to me, but to the extent that he's making that point, I applaud that and I agree with Mr. Trump.
All right, Senator Roger Wicker, thanks for being with me.